What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including AEW's next pay-per-view, WWE Backstage's stagnant ratings, Vince wanted Jericho to leave AEW, why Brock wants to work with R-Truth, the next face of Raw, furious wrestlers react to a politician calling out wrestling as fake, and more shots fired by AEW. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. But let's waste no further time and get straight into the first story as AEW announces its next pay-per-view. AEW President Tony Khan recently spoke with Sports Illustrated's Justin Barrasso to announce the next AEW pay-per-view after Revolution. Khan told Barrasso, "It's been an incredible run and only fitting that we return to Las Vegas to celebrate our one-year anniversary with AEW's marquee event." On Saturday, May 23rd, Double or Nothing is back for round 2 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Last year's event changed the world of wrestling, and this year the stakes will be even higher. AEW only runs 4 pay-per-views a year, and this will be the second time Las Vegas is hosting an event. Whether AEW chooses to run pay-per-views in the same cities every year could be seen as a way to give fans from different parts of the United States a chance to travel to an AEW pay-per-view without traveling too far. There's also the factor of strategically placing shows in markets with a high likelihood of selling out the venue. Double or Nothing 2, does it sound imaginative? I mean, they couldn't have named it Bankruptcy or Gambler's Addiction by now? What a crap joke. Next up, WWE Backstage's stagnated ratings. This week's WWE Backstage featured Royal Rumble winner Drew McIntyre, but the Scottish psychopath didn't do anything to help the ratings. At the same time, he apparently didn't do anything to lower them, as the show drew the same rating as last week's show. PW Insider's Mike Johnson reported, "The 4th February episode of WWE Backstage on FS1, featuring Drew McIntyre as the primary guest, brought in 97,000 overnight viewers, equal to last week's episode. Next week's show could see a bump in the ratings as CM Punk has already announced he'll be back. The Women's Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair is also on the lineup for next week's show. Next up, the next face of Raw. Seth Rollins' new disciple Buddy Murphy seems to be on track after a promising start on SmackDown that seemed to sputter out. Speaking with TalkSport's Alex McCarthy, Murphy discussed the dynamic on Raw and Paul Heyman's influence on him. "Paul has been awesome to work with. He has a lot of belief in me and I don't want to let him down. The Aleister Black performances and whatnot, I want the ball and I want to run with it. I believe and Paul believes I can be a megastar for this company." During the interview, Murphy discussed how he's been waiting for a good storyline to help get him over, and that he feels his alliance with the Monday Night Messiah could be what he needs. For now, he says he's focusing on keeping Paul Heyman and Vince McMahon happy. Next up, Chris Jericho talks Vince McMahon asking him to leave AEW. We've documented Vince McMahon's many mercurial moments, so this following anecdote from current AEW World Heavyweight Champion Chris Jericho probably won't surprise you. During an episode of Talk is Jericho, Jericho recalled Vince McMahon telling him to take AEW's offer, only to change his mind.
"I had the same thing. I'm not in AEW because I was a rebel. I'm in AEW because Vince went, go."
Yeah, that's
and then when I went, he went, "You signed the contract? Well, yeah. Can you get out of it?" "No."
And Chris,
you told me to sign it, but he had the opportunity to stop it like he did with you, which is very interesting to me because 23 years later, he made the same. I love Vince.
It's difficult to imagine AEW being as successful as it is without Jericho's presence. Le Champion added some much needed star power when the promotion was launched, and since then he's become the promotion's top heel while helping to get other stars over by bringing them into his faction, the Inner Circle. Next up, R-Truth hints at another clash with Brock Lesnar. Former 390-time 24/7 champion R-Truth's comedic talent is legendary, capable of even getting Brock Lesnar to break down and start laughing. Truth's comedy segment with Brock Lesnar a few weeks back still has people talking, and it appears there could be another segment between wrestling's former European 34/8 champion and the Beast Incarnate. Speaking to With Spandex, Truth commented, "Brock actually has been pitching ideas. He wants to work with me doing something because of that segment. He pitched a couple of ideas. He and I talked afterwards. The sky's the limit. The business is always changing and I'm always changing with things. This could be hilarious, and Brock seems to be having more fun in the WWE, whether it's grooving with his Money in the Bank boombox or doing a bit of the cha-cha during the Royal Rumble. As for Truth, he seems to work well with everyone." Truth former 24/7 partner in crime Carmella recently spoke with BT Sport about how she misses our Truth. "I miss him. We had so much more we could have done. Without Wrong Killings, this last year would have been so boring. He's become one of my closest friends." Next up, Awesome Kong written off AEW. You may have seen AEW star Awesome Kong's kayfabe injury at the hands of the Nightmare Collective's Mel and Luther, and/or AEW's announcement that Kong may or may not return to the ring. PW Insider's Mike Johnson speculated that Kong, aka Kaya Stevens, is likely to take time off to star in the final season of Netflix's Glow series. Stevens portrays wrestler Tammy Dawson and has received good reviews for her performance. Our next story, a politician mocks wrestling and a social media melee ensues. We won't waste your time with politics, but this situation is different as it involved US Congressional Representative Tim Ryan tweeting, "I just walked out of the State of the Union. I've had enough. It's like watching professional wrestling. It's all fake." Now, there were plenty of angry responses from fans, but also from professional wrestlers. There are too many to include here, but let's take a look at the two good responses, beginning with the Honorable Glenn Jacobs, Mayor of Knoxville County, Tennessee. "Sir, your statement is emblematic of the out-of-touch elitism, so typical of Washington, that has alienated countless everyday Americans. Professional wrestling brings joy to millions around the world. Politicians like yourself usually bring nothing but misery." Legendary wrestling announcer Jim Ross, who is well versed in the industry's inner workings, shared his thoughts. "Like many of your fellow professional politicians, this statement is ill-advised and ignorant. Don't lump my profession into yours. Your profession has become embarrassing on both sides of your beloved aisle. Public servants? That's laughable. No matter where they stand politically, no one in the wrestling industry takes kindly to the business being called fake." Interestingly enough, we'll have a video coming up on something similar to this, i.e. ignorant non-fans of wrestling. Next up, NXT Championship or NXT Women's Championship. It appears the WWE has decided to stick with the label NXT Women's Championship rather than changing it to the gender-neutral NXT Championship. It looked as if the company was going to drop the women's designation, but seems to have backpedaled, with several news sources including PW Insider and WrestlingNews.co pointing out how the title was referred to as the NXT Women's Championship on the 3rd February Raw, WWE.com and WWE social media. Calling the belt the NXT Women's Championship in no way undermines the champion, and removing the women's designation was only going to confuse people. Next up, EC3 Trademark Abandoned by WWE. It appears the company may no longer be interested in the trademark to current WWE performer EC3. WrestlingNews.co is reporting that, according to the United States Patent and Trademark Office, WWE's trademark application on EC3's name was abandoned on January 25th. This was due to WWE not responding to a notice of initial refusal issued on July 24th of last year. WWE had 6 months to respond and decided not to. The initial refusal was due to EC3 already having a registered trademark on the name on April 23rd of last year. As noted in the article, the WWE could pursue the trademark later. Could it be the WWE has no interest in EC3 either as a wrestler or the brand? He's been reportedly out with a concussion, but even before his injury, he was not being pushed by the WWE. Next up, a wrestler quits Twitter due to mental health. Current Major League Wrestling star and former WWE superstar Austin Aries announced that he'll be taking a break from Twitter as it's affecting his mental health. He wrote, "As someone who's struggled with mental health my whole life, I have to be aware when things aren't serving me or worse, contributing to my depression. Unfortunately, Twitter has become that, the negativity too much, so I'll be stepping away for now. Thanks for following. Twitter, along with any social media site, can be some of the most toxic places to visit, and some people just choose to step away from it to get away from the negativity." And our last story of today, AEW fires more shots. Before AEW Dynamite aired, wrestling legends Missy Hyatt and Austin Idol made an appearance, but funnily enough, the attention was off the legends and more focus was paid to a fan in the front row with a shirt that read "Vince still sucks" in a Hulk Hogan-like theme, and the cameraman even panned into it. Before anyone asked, this is not official AEW merchandise, but a design that can be purchased on TeePublic. Shots fired? Let us know in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.